Hi, everybody. Welcome to Reality Speaks TV. Good
Welcome.
evening, and welcome to Civic Series Power Part 5. This one is titled Pathways to Public Service and the Bench. I'm your host, Sparkle Denise, and tonight we are exploring what it really takes to step into public service, whether that's shaping policy in city council or upholding justice in the courts. We're joined by a powerful panel of community leaders and candidates. Heather Wasielewski, founder of Every Voice Utica and City Council at Large candidate. Jack Lomedico, incumbent, City Council at Large candidate. Candace L. Randall, judge and candidate for New York State Supreme Court. Elizabeth Snyder Fortino, candidate for New York State Supreme Court Justice as well. And we have Frank Miola, who is running for Utica City Comptroller. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct, Sparkle. Thank you for inviting me.
All right. So I can't hear you all for some reason. I'm just going to leave the studio and come back. In the meantime, I have an icebreaker question. So together, we'll explore the real steps to running for office or serving on the bench, what inspired their journeys, the challenges that you faced so far, and the lessons that you learned along the way. So grab your notebook and join the conversation as we shine a light on what civic leadership looks like right here in our community. So I'm going to figure out what's going on why I can't hear you all. But before we jump into the serious stuff, if you weren't in public service or the legal field, what fun or unexpected career do you think you'll be doing instead? And we're going to start with the order of appearance. So when I first got here, I don't know between Jack and Elizabeth who was here first, but I'll go with Elizabeth since it's ladies first. So the question is, if you weren't in public service or in your case, the legal field, what fun or unexpected career do you think you'll be doing instead?
Can't hear you.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear
I
me?
can't hear her either.
Can anybody hear me?
I don't have my mic on.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. You're on. Oh,
Gotcha.
there you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
So the fun thing I think that I would do, Sparkle, would be actually to work at Disney World, and I would love to work in the Emporium and just sell like T-shirts and just take in the music of the Magic Kingdom.
Go ahead, Jack.
Me?
Yeah, you
Okay. Well, I've done a lot of things in my life, but there's always, one or two things that, I would like to have done. I think the first thing, looking back on it, at the end of my career, I'd love to be like a forest ranger, just walking through the woods, taking care of people, taking in nature, just enjoying it and helping other people enjoy it as well. That's it.
go ahead, Candace.
All right, I'll go. I would really like to be a baker. I enjoy baking and doing some pretty crazy cakes for my kids for their birthdays. So it's always been a passion of mine. And so that's what I'd probably do, open a small little bakery and maybe sell some fresh cut flowers on the side as well.
I guess I'll go.
All right, Heather.
I think I want to be a school teacher. I love kids. I love figuring out things to do with my son and his friends and everything. So I'd like to be a school teacher. Did I do that? Anyway,
No.
School teacher.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I always wanted to be a pilot. I was scared of heights when I was younger, but after flying and stuff, it's just something I always wanted to do. I always wanted to fly a plane, and go all different places in the world and see all different people in this world and meet all different individuals. So I guess flying would be my dream.
Wow. Wow. Okay,
What
so
about you, Sparkle?
okay, so it's my turn. I think that I would be a professional boxer. That's it. And I think I'll be a professional boxer because it would be like the opposite of how I am. And I think that's a way to get my yin to my yang or my yang to my yin out so I could be balanced. I would just probably just professionally box. I know I'll make a lot of money.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Love it, Sparkle.
All right. So I guess now that I got that out the way, thank you for all of those wonderful answers. I'm kind of bummed that I missed the other responses, but I'll play it back. It's having technical difficulties. So I guess the questions now, I have to find those. I have them in my notes on this phone. Of course I do. Bear with me, please. All right, here we go. So the first question that I have will be for, does anybody have to leave early? Like before 1 hour? No?
No, okay.
Okay. All right. Okay, here are the core questions. This question is for you, Elizabeth. Um, how did your early work at the Legal Aid Society and years, well, you know what? Before we even get into that, I would like you to introduce yourself. Tell us what you are running for,
Okay.
and then you can answer this question. How did your early work at the Legal Aid? Oh, excuse me, that's not the right question, is it?
It's right. Yeah.
Oh, okay. How did your early work at the Legal Aid Society and years with mental hygiene legal services influence your view of fairness and access to justice? But please tell us who you are and what you're running for.
Sure. Okay. So I'm Elizabeth Snyder Fortino, and I'm running for Supreme Court Justice of the 5th Judicial District, and that entails 6 counties. That would be Jefferson, Lewis, Onondaga, Oswego, Oneida, and Herkimer. And there's 4 spots available. That election will take place end of October, and then obviously Election Day. And I currently am the director of Mental Hygiene Legal Service, which is an agency within the court system for the last 22 years. And I'm currently the director. And then transitioning to your question, in terms of my involvement in the past of my 24 years of practicing law and beginning at the Legal Aid Society, and mental hygiene, I think, has been huge in terms of having that ability for fairness and access to justice.
Mm-hmm.
I actually served on the New York State Bar's President's Committee on Access to Justice. And in that committee, we worked to make the courts accessible. I also am currently a part of the Judicial Task Force on Mental Illness. That committee, I'm on 2 subcommittees for that. One is about person-centered and the well-being of court staff, and also court staff training to make things accessible within the courts. And having worked with individuals with disabilities, the mentally ill, folks that are marginalized in our community, whether it be at the poverty level or there may be people of color, I've been very fortunate to serve them for my 24 years and to ensure that they were represented in court and had their opportunity to be heard. Another one of my roles was as the pro bono coordinator for the Oneida County Bar. I also served on the 5th Judicial District Pro Bono Action Now Committee for many years. And I also was on the 5th Judicial District Courthouse Efficiency Committee. I think all all of these committees. We worked with many other lawyers and judges to help really analyze the judicial district and its needs. And so that was why 21 years ago, I started a program called Legal Line. And I'm sure many of the folks maybe listening tonight may have participated in that. That's a program that I began at the Legal Aid Society, and I partner with WKTV. And each year, I have 12 attorneys that volunteer just to answer calls for the folks in the community during the evening news. They can ask any question that they may have and haven't gone to an attorney about. And so I have specialists in all areas of practice answer those questions. And we do about 300 to 400 calls in just 1 hour and a half time frame. So it's been a huge public service that the community has really embraced. And I'm grateful to the partners that we've had in the community to put that on. But that I feel has been a huge way of kind of shaping my entire legal career. It's always been about pro bono and giving back. And that's why I've worked in public interest for 24 years, because I never really wanted to charge a client. I never wanted to have to give them a bill. I just wanted to advocate for them 110% and make sure that due process took place in the courtroom, but also that they had the opportunity to be heard. You know, I've had clients like that with mental illness and that have literally had issues within the courtroom. But I was able to advocate and help them throughout the court hearing process, which can be very anxiety inducing, and help them to get to the other end and hopefully get discharged from the hospital or back on their feet again. So those just practicing law in that spirit and having that ability has been a huge, huge thing for me. So I appreciate your comment.
Oh, wow. That was incredible. All of that, and you still smiling. Wow, that's to be admired.
Thanks.
Yes, thank you for that answer.
Sure.
So, Jack, the next one's for you. What motivated you, Jack, to run again for Common Counsel at large? Because you're already currently one of the at-large members. So what inspired you to run again?
All right, good question. I think it all settles down to, and it comes down to service. My whole life has been involved in service. I think I was born, during the John Kennedy era, when he said, it's not what your country could do for you, but what you can do for your country. And I think as a little boy at the time, I think that sort of sunk in. And when I heard that, must have been a million times growing up in my youth. So, right out of high school, I joined the Air Force. I was an air traffic controller in the Air Force. I did that for 4 years, serving my country. And then I went to college and after that got my degree in sociology, which I don't know why I did sociology, but I think it was because I think it was the easiest course I could take. But I did get my degree in sociology. And also while I was going to college, I was working full-time at General Electric. I was a production controller. And I dealt with manufacturing and different components for aircraft, like the B-1 bomber, the F-4, Weasel, all these different platforms that are flying right now. I was involved in purchasing and putting the boards together that would go into the radar systems. So after that, once GE moved out, I said, I have to repot myself. I heard a gentleman, one of the CEO from IBM, he says, every so many years you need to repot yourself. And that's one of the other things that stuck in my head. And I said, well, all right. So I had my sociology degree, and I said, well, I might as well put it to use. And I took the test, and I became a New York State parole officer. Now, also during that time, after I got my 4-year degree, and this is running parallel with working at GE and being a parole officer, I also joined the Army Reserves. And because I had received my 4-year degree, I received a commission in the Army, and I became a second lieutenant after a year being in the reserves. Just a little funny note on the side of this is that I was in the 2nd 389 Engineers, and I was in it for a year. And once again, you sort of need to repot yourself when you're in the Army. You need to do different types of jobs. That way it looks good for promotion. So I went downstairs to the 414 Civil Affairs Unit, and I asked them if I could join. And Mr. Felito, Colonel Felito, said yes, So I finally get in the unit, and about 3 weeks later, Saddam invades Kuwait. Now, the engineer unit I was in didn't get activated, but I got activated as a civil affairs officer. Well, I knew nothing about civil affairs. So all of a sudden, here I am in Khobar Towers in Saudi Arabia, and they send me out to a place called Hafr al-Batin, where there was a 30th Corps support group there, and got there at midnight. And all I had was a pickup truck and a driver and a little tent. That's all they gave me. And I'm saying, God, I don't know what I'm really doing out here, but we'll figure it out. So I go there and I report to my commander. I remember his name was Colonel Meyer, and it was like 12 o'clock at night. And I says, Colonel Meyer, I think I was a captain at the time, Captain Lomedico reporting his order, I'm your civil affairs officer. So he looks at me and he says, Captain Lomedico, what the heck is civil affairs, and what are you going to be doing for me? So I'm thinking, wow. I says, maybe this is okay. He has no clue what my job is. So this gave me a leg up. So I said, sir, I said, I'd like to speak to your staff tomorrow morning at your staff meeting, and I'll give you some ideas what civil affairs could do for you. So I went back in the pickup truck, and I go to my driver, Lloyd. I said, Lloyd, I says, I think we got a chance here. They don't know what we do. So I got out the book, the civil affairs book, and I went through it, and I said, yeah, we could do this, we could do that. And I went back the next day and briefed the colonel, and he loved it. We had to take care of the Bedouins, keep them out of the fence, bring in interpreters, because we were right in Saudi Arabia there. And of course, nobody could speak English. And we had all these drivers coming in that were foreign drivers that only spoke Arabic, and they didn't know where they could drop off their goods. So that really worked out good. So after that, when I was training new civil affairs people, because when I went to Iraq a couple of times, I would always tell my new people coming in, I says, do you know what civil affairs CA stands for? They say, yeah, sir, civil affairs. I said, no, it means completely adaptable. And they said, that's what you need. And as a councilman in the city, that's what you need to be, because every day you get different things that happen, and you have to work them out with your people. You're just not going to work them out yourself. You have to work them out with the other councilmen that are there. And I've learned as a civil affairs officer over the years how to work with people, and how to and understanding that it's not always your way, but even if it's not your way all the time, you can sort of bring some of your ideas on it and bring everybody forward and come to a conclusion and actually write a bill or work on taxes that people could afford. And so that's pretty much how I got to where I am today. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. And we're going to go to Heather, and then Candace, and then Frank. So Heather, I think everyone knows you by now, because every Voice Utica and Reality Speaks TV has pretty much joined forces to get this Civic Power engagement series going, because pretty much the brown and black population seems like they're disengaged from voting. So I thought this would be a great way to engage them. And so far, it has been successful. So you don't have to introduce yourself, right? But I do want to know what insights, hi Heather, what new insights or challenges have you encountered since announcing your run?
Okay, so I have a couple things here on this. One is that things go deeper than the community priorities are deeper than you think when you knock on doors. For example, people are talking about roads, taxes, public safety, but when you knock on doors, you get their personal stories behind all of this stuff that's happening. You know, like, for example, if property taxes increase, how they can't afford it because their Social Security, and if their roads aren't being fixed, how someone has to replace their Cadillac converter and cost them $800. You just hear deeper stories, insights into their life, what they're going through. It's not just a bad road or a property tax increase or an unsafe neighborhood. Some people have to, you know, they have fences set around their houses now because homeless people are trying to sleep in their yard. People are trying to navigate through all these things that are going on. And it's more than just bullet points. You know, these are people living through these realities. Some challenges too is that the administration is not giving like an outlook of how things look or how things are being done. So it's hard to answer people's questions when they talk about St. Elizabeth's Hospital, when they talk about the homeless crisis, when they talk about public safety, because no one's really telling us anything. So we need a better plan when there's a plan in the city. What does that look like? What's the budget for it? What can we tell? Because right now, I am everybody that's watching this right now. I don't know the answers to this because we are not being told those answers. And like, lastly, too, this has really reinforced neighbors over politics for me, because when you knock at doors, people are engaged, they are listening, and they are ready to be heard. It doesn't matter on the party at all. It matters that people are eager to have their voices. And I've done door knocking for a long time, but this is the first year where people are really engaged and really like to see some change.
Wow. And then I've seen on social media, because you have a very good presence there, that you're being creative on where you're leaving those palm cards, right?
You can't leave them in mailboxes. And sometimes you can't leave them in the door handle. And now the door's locked. So yeah, I put them in all different little plant holders, whatever I can find. I stick my palm. You will find it.
That's so cool. And Candace, hi Candace.
Hi, Sparkle.
We met originally at the Juneteenth event that happened in Utica this past Juneteenth. I believe it was that Saturday after the actual day, but nevertheless, we were introduced to one another and we talked. So I'm glad to have you here. And
thank you.
Please tell people who you are, what you're running for. And my question for you is, Candace, what inspired you to pursue a role as a New York State Supreme Court judge?
Sure. So I currently live in Lewis County, running for one of the open seats, same as Betsy. So we're running all the way from Oswego to Herkimer County. And I grew up in Jefferson County. My dad retired lieutenant colonel in the Army. My mom, school teacher, and really grew up in a strong household that prioritized service to the community, helping your neighbor, you know, being there when people needed you. So I grew up kind of, you know, you do your can drives, you help out your neighbor, you shovel the driveway. You really were just a part of a larger community. You know, your family just was there to help. So growing up, I actually always have really wanted to be in the legal field and be a judge. When I was in 4th grade, I said I wanted to sit on the Supreme Court. So I know it's crazy. 3rd grade, I said president, but that's kind of gone by the wayside. I have a couple of teachers from elementary school still tell me that there might be time after I serve a 14-year term. But not really anything I'm interested in at this point. So I really just kind of built my high school career and my college and law school career on always wanting to be an attorney and then have the ability to serve my community as a judge. I'm currently a judge for 3 towns in Lewis County. I'm the treasurer of the Magistrates Association for Lewis County. And I just really enjoy being there to help people. It is just something that I like to do. In my private practice, I've been practicing since 2013. I take on cases where people can't find anyone to help them. Usually it's because they can't pay them or because they just don't like the case. But I'll take it and I help them because I think everyone deserves the ability to have their day in court. Everyone deserves to have their voice be heard, and they deserve to have adequate representation. So I take on these cases, I help people, and that is something that really pushed me to run for this position. Our local Supreme Court judge was retiring after his term, and there is now going to be this huge void within our community. And as one of the only attorneys who lives and works in Lewis County, I thought, well, why not me? You know, this is an opportunity for me to be able to serve my community in a different capacity. I believe I'd be the first female Supreme Court for Lewis County, which awesome, yes, girl power. But it's just, you know, it's something that I thought that this is the next step. I have 4 small children, and I don't want to look back and say, I could have done this, and, you know, just being a better role model for my kids. It's a hard race. It's long. It's a big district. But I was willing to step up to the challenge, and I think I'm one of the best candidates that's currently running.
Wow. Thank you. So I wanted to read something too for our listening audience. That was incredible. All of you all so far have really, you know, surprised me. Like, I know you all and know pretty much what you do, the basics, but as you're telling me bits and pieces of your journey, it makes a lot of sense on the reason why you are all shining bright today, you know? So you mentioned college, right? Can you please, because I think that is so interesting where you went to school. Could you please tell us where you went to school? And
yeah, so I started off obviously at a school in Jefferson County for high school. I went to Clarkson University for my undergrad, and when I was deciding on law schools, I was going to go into international business. So I decided I needed to have more diversity in my life, be around people who were different from me. At the time, Texas Southern Thurgood Marshall School of Law was the most diverse law school in the nation. So I applied there, and I got in, and I was like one of 10 white people in the entire law school. And I really was able to just be uncomfortable in life for probably the first time, and just learn about other people, what they do, how their families are, their culture, their traditions, and I loved it. A lot of people go to that law school and then transfer out within their first or second year, but I loved it. I stayed. I made so many friends, made so many great connections within the community. I still have them today. Some of my law school friends are following the page and commenting on this really fun journey that I'm on for the election, but it's just, it was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life.
Wow. So you went to HBCU.
I did.
That's wonderful. Because I'm wondering about that experience and learning about communities of color and, and the justice. So you just pretty much touched on it. So you had the front row seat. Wow, that's something to be adored anyway, because I'm not sure if I would make myself uncomfortable to learn a lesson, but kudos to you.
Well, I mean, it was at that point in time, I just thought, if I'm going to do this, this is the time to do it. And I don't think I could have said I needed to have that experience if I was going to move abroad and live abroad in different types of cultures and situations. And just, I just knew in myself I needed to have more of a background. And I think that that's important for anyone, but especially a judge. You have to know what you don't know, and you have to be willing to learn it. And I went, and, like I said, it was the best, some of the best 3 years of my life down there. So I really enjoyed it, but the big bugs were too big. And it was a little too hot for me. So I came back with the intention of going abroad, but ended up staying and just being able to really help out my local community by doing so.
Wow. Okay, thank you so much. And I'm going to read something after we introduce Frank. Thank you for being so patient, Frank, and welcome. Tell us a little bit about who you are and the position that you're seeking in City of Utica.
Hello, I'm Frank Miola. I'm seeking City of Utica Common Council. I'm sorry. So it brings back memories. City of Utica Controller. Um, I was a councilman for a few years, and I just like helping people. I like solving problems in government. I see government in history, and if you read history, you figure a good platform or a good process and good procedures how to fix things in the future. And I always like doing my research on to solve some of the problems that we have in government. One of the most important ones that I found when I was a councilman was that it was called balance of budgetary powers. It was back in 2008. Back then, the mayor had all the purses. In other words, if the mayor wanted to raise the taxes 25%, you got it. The council couldn't do nothing about it. If the mayor wanted to spend $1 million on a skyscraper in the city of the center of the city of Utica and let all their tax dollars go, council couldn't do nothing about it. So there was something called the Charter Revision Commission. And the Charter Revision Commission gets an appointment of, I think there were 5 people that the council appoints and 6 people that the mayor appoints. So that's unbalanced to begin with to pass something. So you need the votes. So I put budgetary powers on the table, and I asked that group from Charter Revision to balance the budgetary powers of the city. So the mayor and the council get equal powers, and they can decide together how much to either increase taxes or how much to, what to do with their money, what to do with the tax dollars. So it was quite a challenge to only get one vote out of all 6 members, but I was fortunate enough to have that one vote. And the people of the city of Utica went for a referendum. It was in 2008. It was enacted in 2009. And we have budgetary powers in our charter today. And it works. Jack would be the first one to verify that it works, because it's a nice thing that the council was able to lower and help the mayor put together a better budget for the city of Utica and not be so tax heavy on some of the items. So working together with 9 members and the mayor solved the problem. And that was one of the biggest ones that I was fortunate to do. I also did something called residency. That was another one that look for the people here first for employment. Let's exhaust all the people in the city of Utica. That was another referendum that the people supported. And it just made the administration and government say, hey, listen, let's exhaust the avenues here. Let's make sure that the people here, if there's nobody here and it's a specialty job, okay, then, you can appoint, but prove to the people of the city of Utica that you at least tried to look for a person here for the job. What was another one? There was another one called recall of elected officials. That's when elected officials are really bad, a bad person. That means that there's a system right now in our charter that allows the people of the city of Utica to remove that person. There was another system that went out for referendum. So little by little, I see things that people want done, but there's no process or procedure to change it. So I think government is now working better for the people of the city of Utica and helping them better by all those referendums that we had. They were fortunate enough to be passed in the past. So that's where we started.
So I did forget to ask you a question. You kind of started off by saying you just like to help people. So I'm guessing that's the reason why you chose to run. But because I know you as a city council person too, right? So what inspired you or motivated you to leave city council and then come over to comptroller? And by the way, you have been officially endorsed by Courtney Muhammad. When I told him that I was interviewing you today, he says it was a no-brainer that he thinks that you're a great person for that job.
Well, I appreciate Courtney's endorsement, and I thank him very much. I love numbers and figures. I love trying to figure out a better way to stretch the city tax dollars, generate more revenues that the city needs, instead of just going just one direction and ask the taxpayers for more money. There's different resources that we can tap into. There's many resources that weren't tapped into the prior budget that we can do. There's futures expenses that can be cut. You just have to bid out more contracts, and to find out more competitive bidding would also help us cut some expenses. Specifically, I can't tell you how many ways we can do it. And it just gets so involved in numbers and stuff. I don't want to bore everybody, so it gets boring. But basically, I done in the past, 2012, if everybody remembers, the city was headed for bankruptcy. I was fortunate enough to be part of the team, to a recovery team, our financial recovery team, to bring the city back. We went from a negative $15,000 balance to a $14 million plus balance in less than 12 years. So we worked hard, and we tightened up our belt, and we managed the city tax-paying dollars very carefully, very carefully.
Wow. Okay. All right. So I'm officially mind blown from all of you all's introduction. You are all phenomenal. Okay. So just before I move forward, because when I told people that I was having this conversation, they asked me all about the Supreme Court and what is a comptroller. So I just wanted to read this just for our listening audience about the courts. In New York State, I know when you hear the word Supreme, we think it's the highest court. When we talk about the Supreme Court, it isn't the highest court in the state. Here is actually the main trial court that handles the biggest and most serious cases. So Supreme Court Justice in the 5th Judicial District, that's Herkimer, like mentioned earlier, Jefferson, Lewis, Oneida, Onondaga, and Oswego. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
Are elected by all the voters across those 6 counties and serve 14-year terms.
Correct.
Okay. They preside over a wide range of cases, major civil lawsuits like contracts, injuries, and business disputes, serious criminal cases such as felony trials, divorces and other big family law matters, and even special challenges to government decisions. So when people hear vote for these judges, they're choosing the trial level judges with the broadest authority, the ones who decide some of the most important civil and criminal cases in our region. Approximate combined total. When you add these up using available data, this is according to Google. I'm not sure how accurate this is. Approximations for the last complete county. So it's about 11 to 12 cities, 140 to 150 towns, and 60 to 70 villages. So in total, across the 6 counties of the 5th Judicial District, you'll have roughly 210 to 230 municipalities, including cities, towns, villages. All right, that was for the courts. Now, what does this Utica City Comptroller do? The city comptroller is like the chief financial officer for Utica. The role is all about making sure the city's money is handled wisely, legally, and responsibly. The comptroller's jobs include tracking all city spending and income, paying the city's bills and employees, helping to create and monitor the city budget, auditing departments and making sure funds are used properly, managing city debt and financial reports. They work closely with the mayor and city council to protect taxpayers' dollars and ensure financial transparency. Frank Miola is running for this position, and he is joining us now. As you see, we just heard him talk. And I'm going to go to the next question. So that was my definition for you all listening at home. Thank you. And Elizabeth, I'm not going to keep you all. We all passed. We finally made it through our first round of questioning. So this is the second round. And then after that, you all feel free to stay or go, but I would love for you to stay. I won't keep you too long. So Elizabeth, question 2. What do you see as the greatest need in the 5th Judicial District courts?
Sure. So Sparkle, as you just described a Supreme Court justice, that was one of the reasons during this journey I was screened by our bar associations. I think as a past bar president of the Mid-York Bar, as well as Oneida County Bar, and having served on the Judicial Screening Committee, I knew, because the Supreme Court justice is a heavy lift, and I wanted to give the lawyers of all the counties an opportunity to weigh in whether or not they felt I was appropriate. And I've been very honored to be not only seen as highly qualified and commended the extra bonus from the Central New York Women's Bar, and then the Onondaga Bar Association as well found me to be highly qualified, which is their highest rating. And that gives me great confidence to move forward and to be able to be a justice in the 5th Judicial District. And as I mentioned in my role, as serving on the Access to Justice Committee and on the Mental Health Task Force, I think that is where our area of need is in the court system. My agency for the courts, Mental Hygiene Legal Service, has grown. Just in Utica alone, I had 3 attorneys when I first started. We now have over 12 just in Utica, and I manage over 65 across the 4th Department from Utica to Buffalo. And I think that tells you about the mental health crisis that we have in our community and the needs in the courts to have individuals with disabilities represented. The courts even look to us, my agency, to represent in matters that are beyond our statutory jurisdiction. So if there was any area of need in the courts, I would love for there to be agencies similar to mine that could represent the individuals beyond what our office can do. Because there are individuals that when we have a conflict and aren't able to serve them, there are many lawyers that are able to handle or have the expertise that our office has. So that would be one area. I think my work on the state committee too, for being more person-centered. I think our courts, and we're getting there. We just had a wonderful breakfast in Rome. I don't know if you participated with the NAACP. Yeah. Jackie Nelson was fabulous, and we had all the family court judges there, and we had great community discussion. And I think more of that happening with the Justice Innovations Office, Hillary from Syracuse. I think if we do more of those problem-solving courts, and as Jack says about being adaptable, that applies very much to the courts as well. I think we need to be meeting the needs of the time. And I think we're doing that. I think Judge Carol Lunas, who's our presiding judge for the 5th Judicial District Administrative Judge, is doing a wonderful job in helping to have virtual operations for the courts. I think that she has developed very well by allowing individuals to go to their house of worship or to a nonprofit to be able to use their technology to appear in court so that they don't miss their appearance, whether it be family court or otherwise. I think we need to have the courts meet the individuals and not just have the individuals meet the court. And moreover, I think our staff personnel, I think we're, the work that I do on my committees with so many other judges, understanding that there's a lot of stress and well-being issues just in the staff personnel, that we need to do better as the courts in making sure we give the supports to these individuals. It's not easy serving at the front desk of family court or being a court interpreter. These are stressful positions, high pace. And I think my work at the appellate division as well, being on the diversity and inclusion committee, as well as the wellness committee for the court system. We do a lot of programs where we do outreach to children in the Rochester inner city schools and other inner city schools and bring them in to show them what a job would be like if they worked for the court system. I think the courts are doing a great job in opening their doors to the community more and connecting with their communities. And I think the more we do that, we're going to see a positive result, not only in the courtroom when they come before us, but also having us be in the classrooms, whether it be reading a book to an elementary student. I think that connectedness with the community is going to serve us tenfold all the way around. Thank you.
Wow. Oh, you're welcome. Well, I did attend that Rome. I'm bummed that I missed you. You didn't even tell me I was in the same room with you. I actually went to talk to Jackie afterwards and introduce myself. She said she heard about me. But so I just love that. That made me feel like the judges, that we all you all are just human, just like us, right? You put on these robes, or you have this these college education, or you have it seems like your worlds apart. When you have a general conversation with you, we have a lot more in common than we think that we do.
Right.
So I really appreciate you being there. I was invited there by Brother Courtney again. He invited me there. He was okay. So wow. All right. Rock on. Please stay. Come back. Okay. So Jack, we're here with you next. Thank you for that, Elizabeth. I appreciate your answer. So Jack, I have to ask, Jack, as an incumbent, right? Do you still need to work hard as you did as the first time you ran? Because like Do you think that it's just about the same? You have to work a little harder. I do have your question, but I was just curious on the side. Like, do you work as hard, Jack, as an incumbent, or do you like, oh, they gonna vote for me anyway?
I get as nervous because every race is different. What's important 2 years ago isn't all that important right now. So yeah, you have to work. I spent all day today putting up signs and thanking people for letting me put the signs up there. Then you got to put your letters out. You got to knock on doors. You got to let the people know that you're out here, that you appreciate them. You appreciate the confidence that they had in voting for you, which is very important. And the hardest part, and I think Heather could tell you this one, and Frank, you're going to learn this one too, is, when you're a councilman at large or when you're a controller, you're like running for mayor every 2 years because you have the whole city. So you're literally running every 2 years for mayor because you just don't have like the North Utica or South Utica. You have it all. So yeah, and it's very difficult to please everyone, but people do remember one thing when you're a councilman. Do you answer your phone? And do you call them back and at least give them an answer? Now, if you don't, they remember that. And if you do, yeah, they remember that too. So the most important thing as a councilman when you are reelected or elected, I should say, is answer your phone and, help your constituents when they call you. So it never ends.
So you mentioned about citywide as like, running for mayor. So that's my next question about citywide. So which citywide issues do you feel require immediate attention? Like yesterday.
Okay. I could tell you like the homeless. I could tell you two or three, like the lack of police that we have now, we're 20 down. But let's take a look at the big picture. Okay. 30% of the people in this city are below the poverty level. 20% of the people in this city weren't born in America. All right. So that means that now we have to take care of these people. All right. And then we got to take care of the homeless. But the majority, the 30%, is the ones that I concentrate on. And how do you concentrate? Well, the first thing you do is you make sure that they can afford to live in the city. So when the mayor comes and gives you over 20% increase in 2 years, you fight like heck to knock it down so that people could live here, so that people could rent here. That's one of the most important things to me. Of course, law enforcement is important too. And second of all, okay, find ways to bring more money into the city. You just can't do it by taxes. You could do it by bringing industry into the city. You could do it by maybe looking at Harbor Point. How can we bring Harbor Point to be a moneymaker for us? Do we want to take over one of the buildings? Do we want to do rental on the buildings? You always got to be looking around how we could create revenue, because if you have revenue coming into the city, you have more money to take care of the people and the citizens of the city. So that's what I'm always looking at. I'm trying to always look at the big picture, and the little things usually get taken care of if you have money to take care of the big picture. So that's what I lose sleep about a lot. How can we make this a city that everybody could prosper in? Our education systems, our employment, parks, places for our children to go. There's so much to look at. So that's my concern.
Okay, thank you, Jack. Great answer. Especially the don't sleep at night part. Once you can't sleep at night, your heart is in it.
Well, it's because, especially around budget time, because you're always in. This year worked out pretty good because I think because I've been a councilman sort of for a while, and you could be a civil affairs officer. Like I tell you, I could bring people together. Well, that's what I did this year. I brought two people from the Democratic Party into a room. I brought two people from the Republican party into the room to speak for everyone else. That way you didn't have 6 or 7 people screaming at each other. I brought people that I know that could work with each other. And that's how we fixed it. And we brought it down from, I think you started at what, 11% or something like that. I forgot what it was. But we brought it down to 3.1%. Like to have brought it down a little more, but at least I got everybody into the room and we got it down to where, because they were looking at 5%. They wouldn't, my Republican said I was in the room, but they weren't not going to go below 5%. But we stuck with it. We gave them some good reasons why we could lower it. We showed them where we could lower it. And in the end, they agreed with us. And everybody walked out of there happy because nobody wanted to go in there with a 5% raise or 5% tax increase. And even the Republicans didn't, because they understood, that this city really couldn't afford it. So now we're looking again this year. And I'm hearing 5, 6, 7% right off the get-go. And once again, I'm thinking, okay, how we going to lower it? Where can we start lowering it? And so one thing you're always thinking, and you do lose sleep. But anyways,
we gotta hurry up and get Frank in there.
Yeah, right. Let me tell you
Frank.
something. He is the right man for the job, and I guarantee it. He's going to do a great job.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. So we're gonna go on to Heather. Heather, I almost would like to ask you that same question, right? But I do have a question here scripted, so I don't want to go too far off, right? How has public feedback shaped your platform over the past months? But because I really was intrigued by Jack's answer, I really want to ask you, what do you think the city's issue is? Like, what citywide issue do you feel require immediate attention?
Gosh, so obviously the property tax is a big one. And I say this only because of every door that I knock on and I talk to people on, that's one of the things that they talk about is people on Social Security who can't afford another property tax increase. The federal level is crazy right now, and we're all being affected at this level too. However, we have to make this a little bit more affordable and easier for the community, and they're feeling the pressure right now from above. So they are very nervous about another property tax increase. Also, the roads. I mean, roads are a second thing. I can't pick what roads are going to be paved on the council. However, I think the most important thing is that transparency and accountability. People want to know if you're going to pave our roads, all the 4s and 5s worse, that you're going to actually be doing that. So that's an important thing. If you're going to raise the property tax, what are you actually going to be using the money for? People want more answers. And I think that property tax, roads, park safety. I mean, I can't pick which one I'd go in first, really. There's
so many.
When you're going in certain neighborhoods and there's like, go take a look at our parks, and you go down and you see grass about 4 feet high around a slide, you're feeling for those parents and their children going, why is this sitting here looking like this? I live in South Utica. My park does not look like that in South Utica. So it's a lot. I can't really pick one yet because I kind of went off and kept going because I'm hearing this stuff daily. Every day I'm knocking doors. Today, knock doors, and everything that we've talked about those are all things that are being talked. But they want, most importantly, I feel like the most important thing I can bring is to push on the administration for answers. That's what people want because they don't know how to do it. They need us for that. And we need to push that administration to give more direct answers to the community. That's where I'm at. Hi. That kind of goes into what the other question you had too, by the way.
Yes. It was a two.
So really it sharpened my focus into accountability and transparency more. They need to be able to count on the administration. They need to be able to count on the mayor. And we have to be the ones that make that happen. Hi, what's up? By the way, Frank is not also running. He's also our city chair, and he's been fantastic with all of us, keeping us together as a team. Everything. I want to throw that out there, Frank, in case you leave or something happens. He's also our city chair, and I have to tell you, we have the best team working together this election season, and I couldn't be more grateful for all the people that I'm working with. So
evolution is happening. That's wonderful. Candace. So, Candace, my question for you this time is, what would you like voters to know about your approach to public service and the judicial role.
Sure. Well, I think it's most important to know that it's not a one size fits all approach as a judge or the judicial system. I currently, as a judge, you kind of get a feel for certain defendants and certain attorneys, and you can't really treat them all the same way. So if you have a pro se person, someone coming in and representing themselves, you have to treat them differently. There are certain rules you have to follow. And just certain types of cases, I've been obviously an attorney for a while. I've done a lot of cases in Supreme Court, a lot of different topics as well. And each one is different. And each time you can kind of feel out what's going to happen or what you'd like to happen. A lot of times you go into a lot of almost what I would call like mediation with the judge. Are we going to be able to work this out? What's going to happen? And it's just a different approach to every case. And I think that is kind of what you have to do when I have a client walk in every day. I don't treat all my clients the same because some of them need more help than others. And I think that's important that people know that it's going to, obviously the court is going to be there for them, right? People can choose to file cases. People can choose to not show up. But if you do show up, they're going to be met with empathy. They're going to be met with someone who sees them as equals. I'm very much of the thought that it doesn't matter who you are or what your name is or how much money you have. You are all treated equally. You are all the same in my court. And that maybe hasn't gotten a lot of people to like me because they might want some preferential treatment. But it's certainly something that I've established as a judge that this is how it's going to go in my courtroom. And you're all the same. You're all equal. We're all starting off, clean slate, equal footing in order to be able to sit and listen and hear their case. I think a lot of times there's some prejudgment that might happen on cases. And I've always been very open to not making any sort of judgments before hearing anything that comes in front of me. Certainly, I'll take that with me if elected to the Supreme Court. And I think also, again, knowing what you don't know, learning before that case walks in the door, I think is very important. And just, we're there to serve. I'm if you're a judge and there's no one coming in there, what are you judging? There are no cases. So you're there for the people. And you need to be accessible to the people. And in my experience, you're wanting to treat them all equally. I think that's extremely important that voters know that if I'm elected, when they come into my courtroom, that's how they're going to be treated with fairness and respect. Empathy when needed. I'm a mom, so I know also sometimes you have to be very stern. Sometimes people need to hear your mom voice or whatever voice we want to call it. My husband has a gym voice. He's a PE teacher. So sometimes you do have to be stern. You do have to be mean. I don't mind doing that when the time calls for it. But they have to know that it's going to be a respectful moment, and they do deserve that day in court.
Wow. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, so I asked all of you questions. I would love if you stayed around, but if you have to go, I understand. So just leave. But before you all go, I would like you all to tell people how they can follow up with you, because everyone here, I believe, has Facebook pages or some type of website that you can refer people to. So we're going to ask Frank his question, and then we're going to ask you all to share that information to our listening audience so they can keep track with you after this conversation. So Frank, this question is for you. What specific steps would you take when elected to ensure transparency and trust in how the city handles taxpayer money, especially for neighborhoods that often feel left out of the process? And how would you make sure youth, seniors, and small business owners feel seen and supported in the city's financial decision? I know it's a loaded question.
Well, a lot of different parts to that. Let's start with transparency. It's simple. Show people how their money's spent. We invest in Wells Fargo, Fisher Investments, all type of IRAs for all of us, and they send you a monthly log on your account. The city can do the same thing. There's a system in the city. It's called Munis. The council is accessible to Munis. It's really just a breakdown of all those budget lines that you get. Like there's thousands of lines in a budget. Now, underneath those budget lines that most of us don't see is the Munis account, and there's sub-accounts for each and every budget line. And if the people want to know how their money is spent, how the elected officials are spending their money, I believe we can put it on a website and put it on their phone and easily accessible, just like because you're actually investing in services every year, every time you pay your taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's very important that people know how their money is spent. You can't get more transparent than that. Just get on your cell phone and see. I wonder how the clerk's office is doing with their payroll and everything else. You'll be able to see it. To see it. The second part of your question about people looking for things, see, government, in my eyes, is supposed to help and not hinder. So if you turn around, there's pilot programs out there for people who have reconstruction over a certain level in their house. So if they have we'll say 50% of their house burns in a fire, God forbid, okay? There is a pilot program actually on our city coffers for years that they can take advantage of. So the pilot program, of course, people, it's a lieu of taxes. In other words, you pay 20% the first year, 40%, 80%, and then 100%. It goes by years, to 5 years, 10 years, whatever the city offers at that time. Another thing that I didn't even know about when I built my house years ago is that they had a pilot program for new builds in the house, new residential homes. I never knew that either. So little by little, these things that are buried in our laws, people should be able to use them and utilize it as some type of tax relief for them in the future. So the same thing with businesses. A new business startup, they can apply for pilot programs. They can have a lieu of taxes and have the opportunity to save that money, invest in their building, and have a low income where their revenues are being generated more and their businesses are growing. They'll be able to pay more taxes and be able to afford them. It's just a normal way of doing business nowadays. We need to start helping these businesses. We need to start being transparent, like you said. And government needs to show them either they're doing it right or they're doing it wrong. So.
Wow. Okay. Thanks, Frank.
You're welcome.
All right. So, perfect. I love it. Here's a final closing question for everyone. And I ask all of you guests, a gentle request for you to have your contact information listed so your audience can stay connected. So this audience can stay connected to you. So here's the final question for all of you, and also leave where the best way that people can be in contact with. So what is one action that you believe the residents of your jurisdiction can take right now to become more civically engaged? I'll start with Elizabeth.
Okay. Like as I mentioned before, I think I used to, for the Bar Association, I still do. I run a program called Lawyers in the Classroom. And as I mentioned, I think if we could do more similar to like those national nights out that you were seeing, I've attended a few of those for the police and the fire departments. I think if the community judges of all levels can kind of have more of that community engagement. I know at the appellate division, I coached the local high school mock trial team. But I would love to see more schools participate in that program and more judges, serve as maybe the person that helping to score the different teams. I'd like to see it happen at more of a global level. But I think just, general community engagement, I would just love to maybe increase that. So.
Okay, great. Oh, and also, how can we best connect with you after this conversation?
Sure. My Facebook page is Snyder Fortino for Supreme Court, and the same with my website and all the details for both of those, and Instagram and all those places.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Mhm.
Jack?
All right. Calling all youth. Nobody wants to run for office anymore. Thank God we have Heather. You know, she's one of the youngsters, you know, coming aboard. Uh, you know, we need to get these people involved. And you know, right, we're starting from high school. You know, they used to have like the junior common council. They don't have that anymore. We don't see it. But we have to get these people engaged with the community. We don't have enough, and I would love to see more young people get engaged, because these are the people, you know, 5, 6 years, 10 years from now, are going to be running everything. But if their head is in a hole right now and they're not looking and they don't understand how the system works, you know, they're going to have a real short learning cycle. But if they get involved with the Republican Party or the Democratic Party or whatever party and follow along, you know, I look at the Women's Democratic Party. You know, they're all at retirement age. You know, I look at when we have our Democratic meetings, very few people in there are youngsters. They're all the old timers that have been in there for years. We need to bring some youth in and figure out ways to get them involved. That's really important. Listen, I mean, we're not all getting younger. We're all getting older, and someone needs to fill that slot. So if you know somebody young that wants to get involved, bring them to a council meeting. You know, have them meet with us. Bring them to City Hall. Have them meet the different departments in City Hall. If somebody wants to, you know, if somebody says, Jack, I'd like to meet the mayor, or I'd like to visit the DPW department, or please give me a call. And you can reach me at Lomed, Lomed, part of my name, Lomed 508. That's 508 at AOL.com. Yes, I'm old. I use AOL, but it works. It works. Or you can reach me on my phone, because I do answer my phone, 315-796-4799. Call me. Thank you.
Nothing is more organic than a telephone call, huh, Jack?
I mean,
Gets no
that's really how
realer
we
than
get
that.
things done. You know, when somebody gets on their Facebook, hey, but call me, and we're going to talk mano a mano. We're going to fix it right there and then. I'm going to get on it.
I like that. You heard it here first. Call the man. He'll get things done.
But call Frank Miola first.
Okay. And so we're going in order again to Heather.
Kind of what Jack said, but know who your council person is first. Know who represents you. Know who's your advocate, who's your voice in the community, and find that out. Then start attending your meetings. That's how I am here today. I found out who my council person was. I had coffee with them, asked questions, and then I started attending the common council meeting. You're not going to learn everything, but you're at least getting the knowledge of what's going on. You're listening, you're hearing, but that's the most important thing, is reach out, find out who your council person is, start attending those meetings, start listening to what's going on. You don't have to be educated on what everything is. You just need to start being present and listening. And that's the one way to start. That's where I'm here. And go to your neighborhood associations, start going to them, because you will be in a room with people that may be feeling the same way you are. And most people have their council person attend those meetings. So those are some ways to really quickly get involved.
Very good. Yeah.
Wow, all right.
And you can get me heatherforutica.com. Yeah.
heatherforutica.com.
Yeah, it's got everything on there. Phone number, you can call me. Email, text, whatever. I'm available.
Okay, that's great. And Candace?
Well, I would say the easiest thing you can do is vote, right? Educate yourself on who the candidates are and vote. It is, you know, Betsy and I we're all going into this election on an off year. About a third of registered voters within mine and Betsy's district actually vote on these off years, which is insane to me. So vote, educate yourself on the candidates, and go vote. That's literally the easiest thing that you can probably do for the upcoming election. But other than that, get involved. If there's an empty seat on your planning board, run for it, join it, get appointed. Because, you know, my parents always said, if you don't vote, you can't complain. And if you still complain, you better run. So if you want to see a change, be the change. Don't wait for somebody else. Someone else is going to step down. You better step up because no one else is doing it, and us younger generation of people are going to have to be the ones to do it. Like just like Jack said, someone has to come through, and it's going to have to be us. So educate yourself, vote, get involved. That's the best thing you can do. My law school's motto was protect it, improve it, and pass it on. So if everyone can kind of have that mindset while you're in council or in seat or you're being elected, protect what you have, improve on it. So get new programs going like Betsy talked about. Try to help improve your job or the community, whatever you're there for, and then pass it on. Pass it on better to whoever's coming up next behind you. And we really need to, you know, don't pull up the ladder, reach down, lift these people up, these young people that are hopefully going to be running. And, you know, just inspire them to want to run. You know, maybe don't tell them all the horrible things, like all the phone calls that you might get from this Jack.
Actually, I gave him Frankie's phone number.
But it's just, that's the most important part to me. You know, I live in a community where a lot of people aren't running for open seats. A lot of people aren't running for town justice. We just don't have that community involvement that we maybe had 20 years ago. So we have to get people excited about it, which is very hard. And just, you know, step one, vote. Step two, better run if you don't like it. So that would just be my thought.
Love it. And how do we stay in contact with you?
It's Elect Judge Randall. That's the website and also the Facebook page.
Elect Judge Randall. Okay. All right. Frank, last but certainly not least.
Thank you, Sparkle. Apparently, we got 2 judicial candidates that really, really care about people and want to see them and want to help them. And I guarantee if they're fortunate enough to be judges, they will help the people in front of them. You can see it in their eyes. You can see the way they want to move forward, and you can see what they want to do for people. So God bless them, and God bless you guys for your families, especially putting you forward and helping you. Because without your families, all of us wouldn't be doing this. We all know that. Jack, Heather, these guys are givers. You know, you can't beat a politician who's a giver and not a taker. Jack, of course, he'll answer the phone. Don't you worry about it. He'll answer the phone. But, you know, there's one guy that will not quit until he helps the person or solves a problem. And Heather, you can't beat her. She's one girl that's not going to give up at all. So, you know, she will make sure her skill level is phenomenal. She will do research on something. She'll make sure that whatever that person needs gets answered. Now, the civic thing about people in the city of Utica, and you want to change things, I'll tell you what, be honest with you, government only works on complaints. They only do. So if you want your roads done, get everybody in the block to call the mayor. Okay? If you want things done, you have to work together as a team, just like these teams here. Unless you work together, you won't get anything done. And one person calls, says the road's bad, yeah, okay. But if 60 people on that street call and say the road's bad by both the council person and the mayor, okay, well, things are going to change now. So there's always voice when it comes to numbers. More of numbers, stronger voice. So Sparkle, thank you so much for having me here on your show. And guys, thank you for the company. It was wonderful tonight. Thank you very much.
Before you go, Frank, that was beautifully said.
Yeah, that was really nice.
You just took everything back and put it right back in center. So before you go, Frank, how can people stay engaged with you after this conversation?
I'm a little older like Jack. It's fmeolas at AOL.com, FMEOLAS at AOL.com, or you can call my number 315-738-1629. Either one.
Okay. Call, everybody's available. I love it. So thank you all for being here. Tonight's conversation has shown just how many paths that there are to public service. whether it's making policy in city council or upholding justice on the Supreme Court bench. A huge thank you to our guests, Heather Wasielewski, Jack Lomedico, Candace L.L. Randall, Elizabeth Snyder Fortino, and Frank Miola. Thank you for sharing this platform with me this evening, sharing your journey and your insights. And to all of you who have joined us live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, thank you all. Remember, civic power begins with us, our questions, our votes, and our everyday actions. Mark your calendars. Our next Civic Power conversation will be Sunday, October 5th at 7 p.m. right here on Reality Speaks TV. All of you are invited. And until then, stay informed, stay engaged, and as always, Reality Speaks TV is real people, real talk, in real time. Good night. Peace and power to all.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night. Bye-bye.
Okay.